record, and here we go. James and the Giant Peach. We're wrapping this up tomorrow, and then next week we're going to start on a book that you guys vote on today and tomorrow. Chapter 37. It really was an amazing sight. And in 2 or 3 minutes, as soon as the people below realized that this now couldn't possibly be a bomb, they came pouring out of the shelters and the subways to gape at the marvel. The streets for half a mile around the building were jammed with men and women. And when the word spread that there were actually living things moving about on the top of the great round ball, then everyone went wild with excitement. It's a flying saucer. They're from outer space. They're men from Mars. Or maybe they came from the moon. That would be quite a sight. And a man who had a pair of binoculars to his eyes said, "They look pretty peculiar to me, I'll tell you that." Police cars and fire engines came screaming in from all over the city and pulled up outside the Empire State Building. 200 firemen and 600 policemen swarmed into the building and went up in the elevators as high as they could go. Then they poured out into the observation room, which is the place where tourists stand, just at the bottom of the big spike. If you've ever been to the Empire State Building, that's exactly what it's like. All the policemen were holding their guns at the ready with their fingers on the triggers, and the firemen were clutching their hatchets. But from where they stood, almost directly underneath the peach, they couldn't actually see the travelers on top. "Ahoy there! Come out and show yourselves!" Suddenly, the great brown head of the centipede appeared over the side of the peach. His black eyes, as large and round as 2 marbles, glared down at the policemen and the firemen below. Then his monstrous, ugly face broke into a wide grin. The policemen and the firemen all started shouting at once, "Look out, it's a dragon!" "It's not a dragon, it's a wumpus. It's a gorgon. It's a sea serpent. It's a prop. It's a manticore." 3 firemen and 5 policemen fainted and had to be carried away. "It's a schnozwanger. It's a wang doodle," yelled the head of the fire department. The centipede kept on grinning. He seemed to be enjoying enormously, as you can imagine, knowing the centipede, all the commotion that he was causing. Okay, I got to go to the waiting room and let the people that are late in. It starts at the same time every day, folks, except for when it doesn't, and then I let you know. So please be here on time. I really appreciate it. The centipede kept on grinning. He loved the commotion. "Now see here," shouted the chief of police, cupping his hands to his mouth. "You listen to me. I want you to tell me exactly where you're from." "We've come from thousands of miles away," the centipede shouted back, grinning more broadly than ever and showing his brown teeth. "There you are. I told you they came from Mars." "I guess you're right," said the head of the fire department. At this point, the old green grasshopper poked his huge green head over the side of the peach alongside the centipede's. 6 more big, strong men fainted when they saw him. "That one's an oink. I just know it's an oink. It's a cockatrice. Stand back, men. It may jump down at any moment." "What on earth are they talking about?" the old grasshopper said to the centipede. "Search me, but they seem to be in an awful stew about something." Then Miss Spider's large, black, murderous-looking head, which to a stranger was probably the most terrifying of all, appeared next to the grasshoppers. "Snakes and ladders. We're finished now. It's a giant scorpula." "It's worse than that. It's a vermicious kind, a canid. Oh, just look at its vermicious, gruesome face." "Is that the kind that eats fully grown men for breakfast?" the head of the fire department asked, going white as a sheet. "I'm afraid it is," the chief of police answered. "Oh, please, why doesn't someone help us get down from here? It's making me giddy. This could be a trick. Don't anyone make a move until I say." "They've probably got space guns." "But we've got to do something. About 5 million people are standing down there in the streets watching us." "Then why don't you put up a ladder? I'll stand at the bottom and hold it ready for you while you go up and see what's happening." "Thanks very much," snapped the head of the fire department. Soon there were no less than 7 large, fantastic faces bearing down over the side of the peach. The centipedes, the old green grasshoppers, Miss Spiders, the earthworms, the ladybugs, the silkworms, and the glowworms. And a sort of panic was beginning to break out among the firemen and policemen on the rooftop. Then all at once, the panic stopped. And a great gasp of astonishment went up all around. For now, a small boy was seen to be standing up there beside the other creatures. His hair was blowing in the wind, and he was laughing and waving and calling out, "Hello, everybody! Hello!" For a few moments, the men below just stood and stared and gaped. They simply couldn't believe their eyes. "Bless my soul," cried the head of the fire department, going red in the face. "It really is a little boy, isn't it?" "Don't be frightened of us. We're glad to be here." "What about those others beside you? Are any of them dangerous?" "Of course they're not dangerous," James answered. "They're the nicest creatures in the world. Allow me to introduce them to you one by one, and then I'm sure you'll believe me." So now James, having heard the centipede's poems for all of this time inside the giant peach, and on top of it, now James gets to share a few of his own. "My friends, this is the centipede, and let me make it known. He is so sweet and gentle, although he's overgrown. The Queen of Spain again and again has summoned him by phone to babysit and sing and knit and be a chaperone when nurse is off and all the royal children all alone. Small wonder," said a fireman, "they're no longer on the throne. The earthworm, on the other hand," said James, beginning to expand, "is great for digging up the land and making old soils newer. Moreover, you should understand he would be absolutely grand for digging subway tunnels, for making you a sewer." The earthworm blushed and beamed with pride. Miss Spider clapped and cheered and cried, "Could any words be truer?" And the grasshopper, ladies and gents, is a boon in millions and millions of ways. You have only to ask him to give you a tune, and he plays and he plays and he plays. As a toy for your children, he's perfectly sweet. There's nothing so good in the shops. You've only to tickle the soles of his feet, and he hops and he hops and he hops. "He can't be very fierce," exclaimed the head of all the cops. And now, without excuse, I'd like to introduce this charming glowworm, lover of simplicity. She is easy to install on your ceiling or your wall, and although this smacks a bit of eccentricity, it's really rather clever, for thereafter you will never have the slightest need for using electricity. At which no less than 52 policemen cried, "If this is true, that creature will get some fabulous publicity." And here we have Miss Spider with a mile of thread inside her, who has personally requested me to say that she's never met Miss Muffet or her charming little Tuffet. If she had, she'd not have frightened her away. Should her looks sometimes alarm you, then I don't think it would harm you to repeat at least 100 times a day, "I must never kill a spider. I must only help and guide her, and invite her in the nursery to play." The police all nodded slightly, and the firemen smiled politely, and about a dozen people cried, "Hooray!" And here's my darling ladybug, so beautiful, so kind, my greatest comfort since this trip began. She has 400 children, and she's left them all behind, but they're coming on the next peach if they can. The cops cried, "She's entrancing," and the firemen started dancing, and the crowds all started cheering to a man. And now the silkworm, James went on, whose silk will bear comparison with all the greatest silks there are in Rome and Philadelphia. If you would search the whole world through, from Paraguay to Timbuktu, I don't think you would find one bit of silk that could compare with it. Even the shops in Singapore don't have this stuff, and what is more, the silkworm had, I'll have you know, the honor not so long ago to spin and weave and sew a dress, the Queen of England's wedding dress, and she's already made and sent a waistcoat for your president. "Well, good for her," the cops cried out, and all at once a mighty shout went up around the Empire State. "Let's get them down at once. Why wait?" Tomorrow, we will be finishing James and the Giant Peach. Let's take a peek at our assignments today. Here we go. Let's shoot that up to the top. Okay, remember, get all your work in this week. This is the end of our 3-week unit, and we'll have one more 3-week unit starting on Monday. How did James get the people scared to death? How did he get them to calm down? They were scared to death. And what creature introduction poem was your favorite? Remember, tomorrow, vocabulary test on these 14 words, and you not only will have to connect the definition with the word, I will have examples of metaphor, I will have examples of rhythm, examples of simile, alliteration that you will have to match up also. So if I give you something where every word starts with the letter B, then it would be alliteration. So you'll have to be able to do that. The Crazy Horse Monument, this is the last day for this, one more of those. And that is a video of Mount Rushmore. Your last day to use these poems to help you create your own. Moving on down. Now, I gave you another chart, and again, it has those funky, dunky grammar terms: present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous. Don't get hung up on those words. Look at the examples and think about what they are doing in those examples, and how that you have all these options with using helping verbs and the ends of verbs to put the action however you want. So I wanted to have some fun with this. Create a dialogue, quotes back and forth between the characters of James and the Giant Peach. There's a really great description of all of them right here at this link, and I listed all the characters here. So I have an example here where the centipede uses a verb tense. The centipede said, "By the time we get to America, I will have tied all of my boots." And the worm responds, "By the time you get that done, we will have traveled around the world." So try to have some fun with it. You see here, you've got this tense. Here you have this tense. And have them talk back and forth using these examples up here, but making it so that it connects with their character, something they would do, like the spider spinning webs, or the glowworm glowing, the green grasshopper playing his violin. Moving on, what books are you presently reading? Of course, you can have your own books, that's fine, but the libraries are all closed, and not everybody has a big library in their house. So we have all those sites on Clever from which to choose books. There's an unending supply, there really is. So please look for books that you really want to read. Again, the creative portfolio, the poetry portfolio. I'll let you ask questions about that in a minute if you have any. We're finishing up rebuses tomorrow. If you have a rebus to share at the end of this, you can share it on the share screen. That would be really cool to see some of your rebuses. Milo and Keon shared 2 today, and they were really good. They were hard, and eventually somebody got them. Finish the 18-minute long Ancient Rome with the little boy that is writing down in his diary what Ancient Rome is like. Here's a video on why Latin is so important. It's not spoken in the sense of like you go to a country, they speak Latin, but we use Latin words all the time in science and medicine and all kinds of other ways. Today we have the climate and geography of Florida, which is pretty cool. It gives you an overview of all the different parts of Florida. Here's a sad thing. Back when we started quizzes, several weeks ago now, almost everyone was taking them every day. Yesterday, 7 out of 28. That's 1/4 of the class. Is that enough? Survey says no. We need people to take the quizzes. They're fun, and you can create your own, and you can share your own with other people. Family fun. Florida, believe it or not, is the only state in America where the majority of people are not from Florida. There's no other state like that. So if you are from Florida, great, share that, what county you came from, city, town, whatever. But I bet a lot of you did not come from Florida, or at least your families didn't come from Florida. So I came from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I lived there till I was 44 and moved here in 2005. So I've been a resident now down here for 15 years. The fun facts are all about the geography of Florida, pretty cool. Then you have the chapters again at the end, or just one chapter today, although it was a long one. And at the very back, you have 3 books from which to choose. The Tale of Despereaux by the author of Edward Tulane, Kate D. Camillo, The Silver Chair, C.S. Lewis, and The Little Prince, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. So vote for your favorite book. Tell me in the private channel on Teams, and I will calculate the winner, and we will let you know which books are, what book is going to be used. Today we have Max, Mila, Peyton, and Ryan to share something from long ago and far away. You now can unmute yourself. So Max, if you can unmute yourself and share something from long ago and far away.
Okay, I'm gonna get